here we go. Get ready to have a good time. This is exciting, isn't it?
All right, we're on. Hello, testing.
Welcome aboard the Dreamliner.
It's the only way to fly.
Listen, we need something that will play to your strengths of loving the sound of your own voice and talking forever. Podcasts.
Podcaster Gary Myers.
Gary.
Here's a young speaker who is really in demand.
Don't let that go to your head, Gary.
But wait, there's more.
See, I'm the guy.
He's Gary Myers.
We're live on Friday, August 6th, 2021, at just past 6 p.m. in the East, 5 in the Midwest, 4 in the mountains, 3 out west, and so on. Of course, you can replay this and all GarrForce shows whenever you like. And no matter where you are, it's time for a digital mimosa. Thanks for streaming with us.
Hey, I'm Kate.
I'm Evan.
And we're at the Racine County Fair in Wisconsin.
It's Wisconsin, yeah, hey.
Today we went to a carnival and a demolition derby.
We also saw tigers and ate a bunch of fried fish. We were in front of this huge tractor that I could sit on. Here's another tractor. Look, another one.
Another one.
And yet another one.
Hey, look at me.
Look, there's goats.
And chickens.
And rabbits.
That's it for this week's Wisconsin Report.
Bye.
Thanks to Kate and Evan Delinka for that fantastic report. Credit Joel Delinka for recording. This is your producer, Alan Delinka speaking. For the best live show experience, subscribe to the GarrForce Live YouTube channel. Comments are welcome on all of our streaming channels during our live shows. You can also text us at 773-888-2157. Regular charges may apply. Now, fasten your seatbelts. It's time to go wheels up on the GarrForce Live.
That book is a hoot. Dutch wives are welcome. Hey, everybody, how are you? Glad to see you out there. And I can see you because I've got a hookup to all of your homes and cars and wherever you're hanging out. And I'm enjoying every minute of your private life. Listen, we got to kick the tires and light the fires before this thing goes up. There it is. But there's another way that we're going to open the show. And Leslie, you are going to remove the condom?
I can do that. I got a McManus Chardonnay today, and it is already safe. It has been condomed, and it looks like it's ribbed for your pleasure, but that's just because it was a screw top. So here we go, kids.
There it goes. And that is a wine condom that Ryan sent, Leslie. Ryan sent me this Schnauzer key ring, and I like to rub it for good luck. That makes me feel good. And
It's very flexible.
Yeah, yes, it's real rubbery and stuff. I don't know why I'm talking like that. I'm just, it's kind of an odd day, and you heard in the opening there. First of all, I think the whole Delinka family now is part of the show, and that's great because they're all very talented. So thank you, Delinkas. And that's not infringing. Is that a word?
Oh, I've been cringed on any number of occasions.
That's cringing on. That's not cringing on Ryan's stuff. Ryan will have his own report.
You know what made me cringe was that breakdown of how to butcher a goat. And they've got it hanging right over the goat stalls. Did you see that at the Racine County Fair?
Okay, I was taking so many notes that I missed that. I was hung up on the sign that said shave ice. Now, do you shave it yourself, or is it should be shaved ice,
Shaved.
right?
No, the
Yes.
Hawaiians call it shave ice. I asked about that last time I was in Hawaii, and I don't know why they've dropped the D. So in
Okay.
some parts of the world they call it shave ice. In some parts of the world it's shaved ice.
I've
Well,
heard that the public
yeah.
school system in Hawaii leaves something to be desired because everybody just wants to go to the beach. So
Well,
Oh, Leslie.
sorry.
in Wisconsin, I would expect it to be the shave ice. That's how they talk there. But that fair, that's America right there. That's the heartland, and that's what they do. And if you've ever been to one of those, boy, they got everything going. And I didn't see how to slaughter a goat.
It was just the breakdown, like you see at a butcher shop with all, where the tenderloin is and everything, but multiple views. And I'm thinking it would be kind not to put that within the eyesight of the goats. They don't need to see that.
Yeah, and you don't want to have the pulled pork sandwich right after that. I don't want to see the front of the food chain. But Wisconsin,
the sausage being made, if you will, and up there you do.
They don't care. Yeah, hey, let's have a good time. Don't worry about it. A lot of people have checked in already. Doug, Linda, Mark, and Stephen, and Cindy, and first timer Dave. I believe he's checking in from Evanston, Illinois. We're going to try to stay with the Murray Franklin rules. No swearing and no blue material, but I can't guarantee anything.
We started with a condom coming off a bottle. So
yeah, and a fish on a sidewalk for whatever reason. And here's the thing. Yes, Keely-Ann did check in, but I'm not going to read it because I think, I don't get offended that easily, but I know the way she worded that will offend a lot of people. And I thought, nah, I don't want to do that one.
We love the sentiment, but
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I know it bothers a lot of women when it's kind of used that way, so to speak. I went to Starbucks today and I was behind this old guy and he ordered a drink, and I swear to God, it looked like a urine sample on ice. When he
Are
got
you sure
the drink,
it wasn't?
We got the drink and I thought, that's a urine sample on ice. Is that something new on the menu here? Not that. That's Tesla's tequila. That's a beautiful thing. And that's what it looked like. Okay, here's your urine sample on ice. Enjoy it.
And last time I ordered an iced tea at Starbucks, I think I got about 2.7 ounces of tea, and the rest of it was ice. So yes. You don't need a lot of urine to put it on ice.
No, you're not getting your money's worth on your urine if you get a lot of ice. I'm having a margarita. You're having wine.
You got it.
And did you mention what kind?
It's a McManus Chardonnay. I should probably recover it for its safety and ours.
No, that's at the end of the show. No. You can't. They'll go flat. You just like taking it off. Yeah, you like going.
I have to go retrieve it again.
All right. So there's no guest today. We're just going to talk about different things and show you some pictures and talk about those pictures. And we talked about a minute ago there, the Tesla tequila, and I want Alan to get ready to rack up Elon Musk's rocket. He decided after he saw Bezos's rocket, well, I got to go bigger than that. And apparently he has this thing. Look at this.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's already rubbing up against the sky and it's not even launched. That's how big it is. Oh my God.
This guy, how did he do it? I mean, he's really kind of goofy, and yet people are just lining up for his cars, even though they're going to be really complicated to fix down the road a piece. But doggone it, it's like a mix between Thomas Edison and P.T. Barnum and
Pee Wee Herman. When you hear him talk, he sounds like a 15-year-old boy just kind of goofing around.
Let's give him another $1 billion.
And he gets things done. So who are we to talk? Well, we're whatever.
Anthony Richard just said Flesh Gordon.
Yeah, there it is. That's what it is. And that thing, is much bigger than Jeff Bezos is. Now, yeah, where's Branson now? What's he got? He got nothing. He's gone
Yeah,
limp.
really.
Hey,
His looked like a paper airplane. It's nada. It's nothing. It's
I was in a waiting room today, and there were about 10 people there, and every one of them was immersed on their phone screen. And I was thinking, and there's a TV going, right? And I was thinking, they could be showing porn on the TV screen and nobody would even notice. Everybody was just, I know it's like, duh, okay. But it is amazing if you sit there and just look around, you could do anything and they wouldn't even know what the hell's going on. They're not paying attention. They're just zeroed in on that screen.
And there are no more magazines that were sent to the receptionist where she blacks out her name and leaves them in the waiting area. And thinking about this in terms of us being in a COVID world, I don't want somebody's dirty little magazine touching my fingers anymore, I don't think.
No. And you're right. Those magazines are 2 or 3 years old because the receptionist has a subscription. And when she was done with them, she brought them in 2 years ago. And she blacks out her name. Yeah. Okay. But nobody cares about the magazine. Nobody cares about anything that's going on right next to them. It really is fascinating that this device has completely taken over our lives. And it's not ending anytime soon. This is it. It's going to get worse.
Well, I was looking at a photo from Lollapalooza, an aerial photo, and apparently some guys were involved in a scrum and at least 80 people around, and they're all holding their phone watching this. Meanwhile, whoever Megan the Stallion is up there trying to ply her trade, and everybody's like, nah, I'm just going to watch this over here.
Yeah, she's got her WAP up there, and nobody cares. And
the other story out of that, apparently the girl who does the signing, the ASL signing for Megan the Stallion, was as popular as Megan herself at Lollapalooza this year, because she's like rocking it and doing the signs, and I'm thinking, yeah, I could easily watch her do that for an hour. It was
what are the hand signals for WAP?
I think it goes down.
Yeah. Okay, I need to see that.
See, and we said we were going to be clean today.
Oh, geez. All right. Karen says on comments, I really chuckled on your Thursday show. You had a podcast, yes, and your discussion was about the Tommy Bartlett water show and the placement of the bumper stickers. Yeah, this guy would send his goons out during his show. It was a water skiing show, and they put Tommy Bartlett water show stickers on every car in the parking lot. Yeah. And then those people would come back to Illinois and other states, and you could see these stickers everywhere. And finally, I think somebody said, listen, you got to ask permission. And people were getting pissed. And it was those stickers where the adhesive didn't come off readily. Yeah.
And the fact that the kids were trying to hit every car in the parking lot, those stickers were going on haphazardly. It wasn't like they were trying to level them. And like I said, my father was so pissed when he got home and was trying to scrape that thing off. Oh.
Where's the goo gone? I don't want any goo on my bumper. I don't think they had goo gone back then.
I do not think they did.
Yeah. So that's Tommy Bartlett, if you're not familiar with him, and he's dead, right?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for a while there, the show was dead. It may be dead again because the lake dried out one year. Something.
I think they reopened it, and then I think they reopened it and it closed again permanently within the last year. Because I used to go to summer camp in Lake Delton, and we would go sailing on Lake Delton, and the darn skiers would practice by trying to capsize us.
Wow.
Lots of fun memories.
Okay. And your family's up there still, Alan?
Well, that was in Wisconsin. I'm originally from Chicago.
No, but your niece and nephew.
My niece and nephew were up in Racine the other day to play at the fair.
Okay, but they don't live around there.
No, they live in the North Chicago suburbs.
Okay. All right. And I know Alan's going to have, Ryan's going to have his Wisconsin report. Alan's niece and nephew, thank you again. They're very talented. They really get how you do that. I mean, that's as good as anything I've seen on the networks. And thank you for that.
Wow, the networks really, they're suffering. I've heard something about CNN can't break 1 million viewers these days.
Okay. Well,
But who can't? I mean, there's so much to choose from.
Yeah,
You
I
could
mean,
watch
really.
this podcast over and over and over, and we hope you do, and then tell other people about it too. But yeah, there's so much more to choose from.
That's it. And you only have so much time. And a listener sent me this story. You know, I love the dollar store. I love me, the dollar store. But they've got a recall going for these chaise lounge chairs because they say that they could collapse, I believe, and amputate your finger. Is that the
Oh.
story?
Oh no.
Amputation, yeah, laceration and pinching hazard. Okay, I thought it was a joke. I draw the line at furniture at the dollar store. I'll go greeting cards, glow sticks,
Right.
bungee cords, floss,
Bandanas. You got the bandanas and the
do-rags, but I got to draw the line. Okay, think about this. The material alone, I don't care how cheap the material, has to cost more than $1. You would
So
think.
is the dollar store the one that actually is where everything is
these
a
are
dollar,
said-
or is this?
These are $20. So this was at Dollar General.
I don't.
Okay, there you go.
Dollar General. See, now I don't like that. I wanted to. When I see dollar, I'm already ready to go and spend $1. Dollar General. Well, everything's Dollar General. I mean, yeah, you walk
Yeah.
in. It's generally $200 for that. $100.
That's it.
Generally, it's around that price range. Okay, I thought it was a dollar store. It was $1 for a chaise lounge. Of course, it's not going to be that great.
And IKEA's going, ha ha.
Yeah. Yeah. You make fun of us and our stuff. Go ahead, buy that $20 lounge. I guess I didn't read the fine print, but that's the kind of week I'm having because I don't want to focus on this, but I can't help it. I said this week I see some leaves falling. They had football on last night, and you went somewhere and saw fall things all over the place, not just Halloween.
No, this is general fall merchandise. I was at Kohl's today, and they had the pumpkin candles and the little floral arrangements and the wreaths all in gold and orange and brown. And
Yeah, and we're a week away from pumpkin spice gasoline, pumpkin spice vaccinations. You want a pumpkin
mace?
Yeah, pumpkin spice mace. You want a pumpkin spice vaccination? Yeah, okay, you can have one. Everything's going to be pumpkin spice. I'm not ready for it, and I'm getting pushed. Everywhere you go, you try to avoid it and say, no, it's not that close, and boom, there it is. And that starts to put me on this wiggy track.
Well, and you've been worried about the days shortening. Yeah,
well,
that's too noticeable now.
Right. There's something there that you can't push aside because you're sitting there going, oh my God, it's dark. And a week ago it wasn't dark. Tommy Bartlett, Chris says, died in 89.
Oh, God bless him.
All right.
How are the ducks doing and the foam home of the future?
You know, I did know that, Leslie, because I saw the funeral. It was televised, and there was a bumper sticker on his casket, a Tommy Bartlett bumper sticker on his casket.
Was his casket carried by a pyramid of water skiers? Oh,
yes,
that was
and what they did in the funeral procession went by Alan's house and spooked him. Did you know that? Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah, there you go. That's how it all went down. Okay. What other things do we have? I wrote them down. Yeah. Okay. The dollar store thing. I misread that. I was hoping it was $1 chair, and I'm thinking, of course, it's not going to work, right? It's $1. Okay.
It would be made out of Q-tips.
And really.
Cloth. Well, like you said, you couldn't even afford to put cloth on it then.
Yeah. Even the Chinese, as skillful as they are at making everything as cheap as possible, you got the 8-year-old assembling it, and you got whatever material they're using, stuff that isn't even known in other countries. They've got their own fabrics and metals and things. They still can't get it down to $1 a chair, but they're working on it. Okay, the forklift, Ellen. Let's cue that up and get a clue, as I would say to myself. This is for kids. It's a forklift, and I'm glad to see this because we can keep the kids off the internet and get them to work at the. This is actually a shot out of China. these are kids actually at work. That's the start of their workday. They're loading things up, and that's how that goes.
Can we have a lunch hour?
No, you had one yesterday. Now get to work. Okay, and okay, we're going to go into something here that I might get sick. I saw the listener sent me this, and I can't believe. Now I can't stand long fingernails, and now look at this. Oh,
but don't the pearls just make it for you?
No, really, make it stop. Oh God, who would? Why would you need? Why? Okay, truth be told, I don't know why women paint their toenails at all. It draws attention down there. That let's just unless you have perfect feet, you shouldn't draw any more attention to them. And the painting of the toenails just seems like a waste of money and time.
Oh,
I know you get yours done, don't you?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I wear a ring. I got a ring on my.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Sorry.
That's all right. Okay. So that got cleared out, and the zapper I posted on my Facebook page, and we had a nice group of people check in on comments, and I had a comment blow going there too. This thing extends to 6 feet, and then if you aren't properly distanced from somebody, they're getting too close, you just pull that thing out. Excuse me while I whip this out, and then you give them a little zit. And that reminds me of what Ryan sent me. This is the mirror. There, look at how long that thing is.
Ooh.
Look at that, it's still going. Look at it, it's longer than Elon Musk's. Yeah, and there's a mirror.
Oh, and we see your computer.
And
you better be careful. We might see way too much.
Yeah. So Ryan sent me this, and that's what that zapper is. It's the same principle, but it's a zapper at the end, like a taser.
Yeah.
And,
all the mask commotion, you got the pro-maskers, the anti-maskers, some people who just don't give a shit in between. But I'm all for the social distancing. So honestly, I think we should all be given one, or we'll have to go out and buy it. What was that? $12? Is that what I saw? It'd be worth it. There you go. Yeah, $12.
Yeah. Does it say where to get it, or is that somebody just make that whole thing up?
Well, give me a second here. I did a Google search yesterday when you sent me this, and there's some hilarious options out there that Google brings up on Google Shopping when you Google it. Let me bring that here on the screen. Let's see. That would be this button here. There we go. So there's all these different places you can get all sorts of different zappers.
Okay.
That first one looks like a machete almost.
Yeah.
Are they legal? How does that work?
You got me.
This is one of those times where it's just easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. Yeah. Get one, try it, and then work it out afterward.
And when I got into my caption blow on my Facebook page, I thought of all kinds of ways that this would come in handy. And one of the things I mentioned when I'm at the grocery store, and this was pre-COVID, I'm putting stuff on the belt, and of course, here comes the wet spot. I try to avoid the wet spot. And all of a sudden, the person behind me has their cart shoved up my ass. And
again,
to give me the impression that I'm not moving fast enough. And I thought, okay, they have to put a gate that comes down between people, or we all get the zapper and just go, hey, I'm still putting stuff on the belt, asshole. Boop. And there it is. There it is. Because this is ridiculous. Do you have that happen at you, wherever you go when you go to the store?
Like I said, people have just completely tossed that whole social distancing out the window. And to me, that and the hand washing is like key. But like you said, the wet spots are back on the belt, so they don't care. And the plexiglass is starting to get a little gooey. I'm noticing that they're not keeping those crystal clean.
Yeah, you can see everything's kind of relaxing to the point where no, not yet. Don't do that yet. In fact, Ryan, you can pop up here because Ryan was telling me he went to the grocery store and he said to the cashier, "Hey, you got a wet spot there. Aren't you cleaning that anymore?" And what did she say?
No, we don't do that anymore. So they just said we're done cleaning. We've had it. So that's why the plexiglass is the way it is, and the belt's that way. So she seemed to just nonchalant. Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore. Pandemic's over.
Yeah, pandemic's over. No,
yeah. Move on.
So I did see one that the kid must have been bored or knew he did clean the whole belt. So when I pulled up there, it was like, fresh vacuum carpet. You know how you have the lines? So it was like, that's nice. But I think that's a rarity these days.
What do you think that wet spot is? Is it people putting lettuce on there? I'm trying to figure out where the wet spot comes from. And it seems every time you go, there's a wet spot coming around.
It's either produce or meat.
Yeah, I was going to say, or ice cream, if they've had the ice cream out too long in the cart and it's sweating. But I think it's produce and meat, not ice cream.
But doesn't that just make you kind of hinky?
Mm-hmm.
Makes me feel the way I feel when I see women with toenails that are 3 inches longer than their toes. Yes.
Oh, why do women do that? Why did they think that's attractive?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I'm still not over the super long nails. Yeah, I don't get that.
Too.
What do they do in the winter? Or maybe they're in warm climates. Because what do you wear for shoes?
Yeah.
Maybe they're in warm climates. I don't know. They wouldn't survive in Wisconsin, I don't think.
Clown shoes.
Boy, you hear them at the house walking over the linoleum and the hardwood floor, don't you? Clack, 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 clack. Cut the frickin' nails already.
No sneaking in the middle of the night?
Yeah. Man. But don't listen to me on this because I'm goofy. I'm very anal retentive. I have a lot of quirks and I'm just weird that way.
Maybe that's why we tune in to listen to you.
Maybe I'm the odd man out. Maybe it's more acceptable than I think, and I just am too weird for the world. But it is a filthy world, and we're paying the price. The universe is telling us right now, you know what? You people have really screwed up for a long time. We're going to show you how this works. Shutting it down. Killing you off. All right? Ask the dinosaurs. How did that work out for them?
Yep.
Do you remember when the Olympics were intended to bring us all together and make us feel like we are just sharing this beautiful green and blue marble and we're all supposed to love each other? And even that, everybody's like, Olympics, Olympics.
I know. Hey, speaking of that, have you watched any of the volleyball, the women's volleyball? I don't know if they have men's. I've only seen women's.
You're very interested in their uniforms, are you?
Well, that's part of it because I mean, you can't help but notice that the bottoms of the swimsuits are traveling up. But here's what I really want to talk about. It's amazing how two people can prevent the ball at all from landing in that square. But they do. How you got and you set them, you have 3 setups to get it over the net, right?
Right.
And these volleyballists managed to really keep that thing in play. And I would not be able to score a point or prevent a point. But these women were incredible on that.
There was a bar in Chicago that tried to do indoor beach volleyball for a while. And you realize what kind of fit nature you have to handle the sand. I mean, it's hard to maneuver on a regular gym floor. Now try and do it when your feet are like digging in.
And how hot is that sand? I mean, I know it's real hot over there. How hot must that sand be? Maybe that's why they move so much. Hi.
And then they give each other hugs at the end.
Yeah, and I mentioned that. I thought, wow, these 2 women were hugging each other even after the opponent scored. And I'm thinking, But I found out that there's a reason for that because they don't reset the clock until they're done hugging and back in position. Otherwise, I believe it's a 12-second clock, if I have that right. So there was a reason for that. They weren't just hugging because, oh, boy, I love you. Okay?
Help with the visuals.
But it is amazing that 2 people know where that thing's going to go in their court and get it in play again. All right. But Leslie's busy watching the high divers shower.
Well, that was last year. Wait, I do have a story for us out of the Olympics. Olympic organizers had to remove one unusual decoration in the equestrian ring because it was spooking the horses. The arena is decorated with all sorts of Japanese accoutrements, including flags and statues. But one in particular was causing the horses to balk. It was a life-size statue of a sumo wrestler with his arms outstretched. And while the horses and their riders are generally used to brightly colored jumps, this one was just too imposing, especially, they say, his prominent keister that you saw as you came around a corner. So the sumo wrestler has been mothballed. In its place, they put in statues of a samurai and a giant serving of sushi.
All right, prominent keister, great clown name, and mothballs. Those are the size of sumo wrestlers' balls, they say, because they're so big. They do whoop, whoop. Okay, let me take a look at that. Okay. All right. So let's do this. Let's do the homage to our fine sponsors, and then Ryan's going to do his report, and then Leslie's got more stories. All right, here's the fine people at Bettenhausen telling you what they have on sale, and it's good stuff.
Adventure just got bigger at Bettenhausen Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, and certified megastore in Tinley Park and Orland Park. See the all-new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee L right now during the Make This the Summer event. Bettenhausen has the new Jeep Grand Cherokee in stock. Now make it yours at BettenhausenCDJR.com.
Yeah, that's a sweet ride. Leslie had a Jeep over a weekend a few weeks ago, and she said, yep, it's a sweet ride. Very nice. Bettenhausen, thank you. And Team Hochberg, your mortgage experts, will help you get a mortgage or a refi. And they have all of the information you need about how to get a close in 21 days if you don't have a cash offer, veterans loans, and your credit score, all that information you need if you're going to get a mortgage or a refi. You're going to deal with the bank, and the bank's going to give you a rough time if you're not all together. That's what Team Hochberg does. They get you through all that. And those are the numbers. I've known David a long time. He gets things done. Even beyond the core business he has, he would help me out on things for the radio station that I was at, and the marketing that they wouldn't do, he would step in. You want a dickie? You got a dickie. You want a muff? You got a muff. And suddenly, I got a dickie and a muff, and I'm giving them out. And Leslie, you have a dickie. I have a dickie.
I have a dickie. As a matter of fact, Johnny from Michigan posted on Facebook this week. He found his dickie in a drawer. So yeah, everybody gets a dickie.
That's a great song title. And I think they did perform that at Lollapalooza. I think the Foo Fighters did it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, David is a great guy. So if you're in the process of buying a house, okay, call that for a free consultation. You got nothing to lose. All right, Ryan has his report.
And speaking of Megan the Stallion, my wife apparently is going to see her at Summerfest, and told me that one night. And Hank said, "Are you going to go see the horses, Mom?"
Okay. Yeah, kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
She slipped that in and then realized, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that.
And Summerfest is Milwaukee's big event, and they've been doing this, I believe, for 50 years. Right?
Long time. Yeah, it's a long time.
And they do it absolutely right. They get all the A talent, and that thing just hums. I saw, I believe, Humble Pie at Summerfest in the 70s. A lot of bottles flying. It was wild. And the thing just kicks ass.
Yeah.
And it goes through September. I'm going to go see Sheryl Crow and Chris Stapleton, I think the third week of September. So it goes on for a while here, too.
And it's right on the lakefront, right?
Yeah, and they shifted the date a little bit this year, but it's right on the lakefront. Great. You're right at the lake. They do fireworks. I mean, it for what it is, it runs a smooth. They know how to do it, as you said.
Yeah,
it's a great.
Yeah, and it's Milwaukee, which is a lot smaller than Chicago, and Chicago can't seem to get any traction with any of the fests that they put together. I'm not talking about Lollapalooza, because Chicago does not have anything to do with Lollapalooza outside of letting them use Grant Park. Letting them use, meaning they get to rent it. But anything that the city has done of that count, they can't get it going.
Yeah.
And here Milwaukee is 50 years putting this thing together, and it's been great from the get-go.
And then they run Festival, Italian Fest, Irish Fest, those peripheral ones around Summerfest. And those, don't draw with Summerfest, but they still run fairly well right at that same venue. So
what's Milwaukee like as far as crime and whatnot? How are they faring as big cities go?
I mean, I think we have our share. I mean, I think there's a share of, crime for sure. I think the light was really shined on us with the Bucks. So, I mean, I think, that went. But I think there is a crime. There is crime that still goes on.
That's how they say it up there. There is a crime.
Yeah, there is a crime. That's
there's
right.
a crime. There's a crime. Hey.
Yeah.
But the Bucks thing went fine, right? There was no trouble.
Yeah. No, there was very little trouble. So it went kind of without a hitch, and kind of put us on the front stage. Plus, brought tons of money into Milwaukee. I mean, that's the good side of things, is it brought money and exposure. But yes, there's crime there that happens. There's been I don't know, issues with the police. There were some stories about the police chief they pulled out a little while ago and messed around with that. So I think they have a fair share of just internal trouble. But
I went to see a Bucks game many years ago, and the mascot, this was kind of interesting. The mascot, the Buck, had a buck head on, but then the rest of the outfit was just brown corduroy pants.
I think they've updated that.
Yeah.
Since then,
yeah, and get this. And you know how during the basketball game they have people run out and wipe the floor because of all the sweat and stuff? He had to go do that with one of those mops. And I'm thinking, he's not only the mascot, he's got to go out there and do all that. He looked crestfallen. You could tell he was sad through his head.
Could you hear that whoosh, whoosh as his thighs run together?
The corduroy as he went out there.
We'll have to look that up. Boy, I went in the 80s there, but I was a kid, so I didn't remember that. But
it was a long time ago. But yeah, corduroy pants and then the buckhead, and he's out there. Why do I have to do this? I'm the frickin' mascot. Now, that's different than the Chicago Bulls mascot, Benny the Bull. He's got the full costume, and one of the things he would do during the game, he'd find a good-looking woman in the front row, and all right, Murray Franklin, I'm just going to tell you, I think I'm going to have to leave right now of your rules. He would go and get on the railing in front of the good-looking woman and lock his hooves, and then lean back and he'd fill a jar with bull semen in front of her. That was one of the things he did. That was just part of the shtickle.
Wow.
Not doing that so much these days, right?
Yeah, and that semen goes for a lot of money, so that's why he did it. Sorry, Murray. Knock, knock. I just can't get it right, Murray. Okay, boy, what's wrong with me today? I don't know. I can't pinpoint it. There's something in the air.
I don't get it.
All right, Ryan, we're going to see what you've assembled for this week. And it's just loaded with good stuff, I'm sure. How'd you like the Racine report?
That was great. They did a sweet job. Yeah. So I'll have to get out and do more segments out of the studio.
Listen, we've got the Delinka clan out there. We got all these reporters. It's
you guys ready?
It's Gary News Nation.
Uh-huh.
All right, you ready, Alan?
Here it goes.
It's Wisconsin, yeah, hey.
Hello, everyone. This is Ryan with this week's Wisconsin update. To start out with, I want to talk about rats. More specifically, giant rats are coming to Wisconsin, and they've arrived in Waukesha. As you can see from this picture, which many news organizations are using as their lead story, a giant dead rat. And to make sure you know it's a giant dead rat, they use the little measuring tape on the side. Not sure what they're going to do about this, but I know there's many municipalities that are going to release some findings and how to handle the rat infestation, specifically in Waukesha, but I think it's growing to neighboring cities. As Gary said, if you just pick up your dog droppings, you won't have rats. Everybody's been having Olympic fever, and I want to introduce a new Olympic sport for the next Summer Olympics. Throwing a gun at a camera, more specifically a security camera, outside of a Walgreens once you try to rob them, but realize when you go to rob them that there's no cash in the drawer and you run out in a panic. As you can see in this series of photos, the man is throwing the gun at the security camera on the street. In frustration, he was not able to rob the Walgreens successfully and take any money. This happened in Milwaukee. So in the spirit of the Olympics, I thought this would be a new Olympic sport that we could see next summer games. Finally, a follow-up to Gary's story about the generator recall from Generac. It happens to be in Waukesha. I did a little on-site investigation, and I have a video to show you. Hey, GarrForce listeners, this is Ryan from Wisconsin. I'm on site at the Generac facility here in Waukesha doing a follow-up story to Gary's story this week about the recall on the Generac generators. Unfortunately, my press pass that shows I'm part of the GarrForce had not come in the mail, so I was not able to gain an interview. Thus, I'm on site in the middle of the night. However, I did go to a few of the big box home stores and had a conversations with them about the generator recall. Most of them weren't aware of it, and others said, hey, people these days are just happy to have a generator. I think they're smart enough not to cut their hand off. So I don't really have a lot more information from Generac, but it sounds like people are not worried about it. That is all the update I have, and as I get more information, I'll be sure to share it with you. Well, as you can see, I wasn't very successful, so I'm hoping my press pass will be coming in the mail soon, and I can continue to do more investigative reporting. Have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Ryan, a couple things. You mentioned your wife is going to see Megan Thee Stallion by herself or with
a girlfriend.
With a girlfriend, okay. So that's a night out. That should be pretty pleasant. And then you go and take some vid of that Generac place. At what time of the night?
It was like 10:30. You know, I had to make sure I had my bail money in case they thought I was trespassing. Yeah, so I'm there at 10:30 at night in the car trying to take get a shot there.
And this is what you said to her. Hey, I got to go take some video at the Generac plant. And boy, does that sound.
Yep. I said, don't wait up. I'll be back.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I'm going to see Megan Thee Stallion with my friend. Okay. Oh, snap.
So she said, where's that? That's like 20 minutes away. I said, yeah, I know. We'll go
don't
out
wait
there
up for me, hon.
Don't wait up for me. We're good.
All right. When is Megan Thee?
I don't know. They said it was a passing comment that I think Henry shut it down. So once he said, oh, you're going to go see a horse, Mom? And then we just didn't talk about it. So it's probably sometime in September.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
Will the other stallions be there? Like her sister, Margie the Stallion? And
all the stallions, yes. All right.
So
Winifred the Stallion.
But I didn't get invited, but she knew I wouldn't go. So I just, that's not my deal.
Okay. That's not my, you sounded like a little bit like Macy from Fargo.
Not my deal.
Yeah, William H. Macy from Fargo. I got to tell you, it's not my deal. I just don't like Megan Thee Stallion. I don't like it. It's not my. Now I'm trying to help you here. Oh God!
And Henry and I clean the car windows, so we don't wait 20 years in the car windows. If anybody was wondering how often we clean the car windows, Henry helped me with that the other week. So
yeah, if you're new to the program, a few weeks ago, Ryan told us that he had not had his house windows cleaned in 10 years until a few weeks ago, and then some off-duty police and firemen have a business. And they came over, and these windows, you can't even see the glass anymore. And then, for some reason, during the week here, I mentioned something about something that made me think about car windows. And I thought, does Ryan clean his car windows at all? Before you cleaned them this week, how often had you cleaned them before?
We probably clean them once a month. I mean, we try, between Henry messes them up pretty good. So they're so we're trying to teach him to do some chores and some stuff. So, we just don't keep buying him magnets and magnet fishing and all that stuff without,
Speaking of, you've got something here, right?
Yes. So what I wanted to point out, what our error in our ways is that is not lubricant that says 242 on it. It is actually Loctite. So you're supposed to put the Loctite on the screw, the screw thing there, so it doesn't come off. So that's why it came off in the water, is we did not use the Loctite. So
and he put it down there and lost the magnet a few weeks ago.
Yeah, when we were in South Carolina, my wife actually did. So she felt pretty bad. That's a $75 magnet. So I let her kind of stew over that a little bit, and then I said, "Yeah, it's okay. We'll get a new one."
Yeah. Okay. So he'll be back doing some magnet fishing before.
He wanted to do it before school starts. So his kindergarten starts in the fall. So end of the month. So he wanted to get that.
Is he still dating that girl?
He is. He wants a Polaris kind of like buggy to go out in the trails, and he said, I can take Hatley with me. She could sit in the passenger seat. So he's all girl crazy, and he's 5.5. So but he's gonna go to the Catholic school. He's gonna go to Catholic school, so they'll keep him straight and narrow. So that's the hope. So no messing around.
That's right. No nonsense there. I don't know if they even have nuns anymore.
No, they're lay people. No, there's no nuns. Yeah, very few. But they
There's
still
still
have the
some little
uniforms.
sisters of the poor who do charity work, but not doing the school stuff so much.
Yeah,
well, we got the uniforms. He's got the uniforms.
Oh yeah, so they still do that.
They do that, but they can choose their shoes. That's how they can express themselves, is by their shoes. So,
and what kind of shoes would he wear?
He likes orange. He's an orange kind of kid. So anything orange that you can get. So he's orange shoes. Not
orange toenails.
No toenails. We keep those nice. We keep those nice and short. So, but he's and then you have free days. Their rewards are the days. Then they can wear kind of anything they want on the free days. I don't know if they did that back in the old days. Had kind of free days where you could wear what you want, but that's the reward for the kids, I think.
I only remember in high school they had a day where you could wear any kind of hat. And
we had crazy sock day.
Yeah, a guy showed up with a Nazi helmet. Boy, you couldn't do that these days. That's all gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they let him go through, but they gave you a hard time about those pants, right? They hustled you on the pants, but the helmet.
I got busted for my pants being too tight. Wow. And it was okay. I've told the story, but it's one of those things where it's still in my head. I can remember the day like it was yesterday. I'm sitting in the back of study hall and just kind of daydreaming, whatever. And I see my English teacher come in and whisper something to the monitor of the study hall. And they both look over at me and I'm like, uh-oh. And then I get up and she goes, I got to take you down to the counselor's office. I go, well, and this woman, this English teacher, was right out of college and attractive. So I'm like, wow, ooh, Papa. And then I get into the counselor's office and he does the whole thing about tight pants. And I'm like mortified. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, did she notice they were too tight? So that's right there set me off on another tangent.
And now your pants were definitely too tight.
Yeah, they weren't before. But now that you say this.
And then they had to call your parents, right? And say, come pick up Gary. He's got too tight of pants.
This thing got a little more bizarre when they had parent-teacher conference. And my parents go and they split up and they went to different classes of mine. My father goes to this English class. And then he comes home and we start talking. And apparently he raised his hand when he asked if there were any questions. She asked if there were any questions. He raises his hand. Is Valley of the Dolls required reading in this class? Because he's reading it at home. And I'm like, holy shit. Really? This whole family is bats. I mean, really, you can understand why I've ended up this way, because the whole thing is a mess.
This is when a kid packs all of his belongings and hops a train.
Yeah, Valley of the Dolls back in the 60s was this book about pills and sex. And I worked at a drugstore and they had this paperback rack. And I would just kind of get books that were going to be discarded after a while and take them home and read them. And at least that's what I told them. But can you imagine your father goes to your classroom and brings that up?
What'd she say to him? Yes? No?
No, it's not. And then it seems like the tight pants, it just all cascaded from there.
Wow. And you had to go face her the next week, right? I mean, you had to go sit there and look at her.
Yes. And now I got to wear baggy pants because I got issues. I'm a teenage boy, and you know what happens.
Get them 10 sizes too big after that.
And I don't think they had Febreze back then. Okay. All right. Ryan, always a pleasure.
Yes. Take care. Have a good weekend.
You too. And Leslie's got more stuff.
A parasailer in Puerto Vallarta got more than she bargained for thanks to high winds and shoddy equipment. The 25-year-old tourist was being towed above the waters of Camarones Beach when a gust of wind caused the rope to snap. The woman then floated over a mile inland before getting caught up in some power lines. Lucky for her, local Good Samaritans came to her rescue, cutting her loose before she got electrocuted. Reports say she suffered only minor injuries to her face and legs.
No such thing as just a Samaritan. It's either good or bad, right? We've discussed this.
Well, there are Samaritan, but those people from Samaria, but anyway, these are the good ones.
These are the good ones. Okay.
These are the good ones.
Good cholesterol and bad cholesterol.
And it just brings to mind all those things that people do on vacation when they just throw caution to the wind, and you put your whole life in the hands of two guys who've been drinking rum all day, and we'll take you up.
Just sit by the pool on the $20 Dollar General chair and be happy. Wait for the waitress to come around. What are you doing? I got to go.
Try to keep your fingers,
and parasail and this and that. Relax. You're on vacation.
Meanwhile, there's a COVID-19 lockdown underway in Thailand, and it's having an unexpected effect on its zoo animals. The penguins, especially, are missing their fans. Penguin specialists at a zoo outside Bangkok say they've noticed a change in their resident penguins following their morning swim. Usually, they're met by a crowd of excited onlookers, and they seem to be basking in the attention. But these days, the penguins just linger outside the pool, confused by the quiet. So zookeepers say they're ramping up the animals' exercise routines in order to keep them occupied and engaged.
Are they going to form gangs and go at it like the monkeys? I posted this on my Facebook page in Thailand. These gangs of monkeys in the middle of a street getting ready to rumble because there's no food. The tourists aren't there to feed them.
And that's the thing. We need to get the tourists back in Thailand or the animals are going to go berserk.
That's right.
She's tanned, she's toned, she has no nipples, and now she's middle-aged. Malibu Barbie is turning 50. With her sun-soaked complexion and super groovy clothes, she inspired girls all over the world to dream of life on the beach. But there's something you might not know. The Huffington Post did some sleuthing, and they say that Mattel used actress Sharon Tate as the inspiration for Malibu Barbie, but for obvious reasons now deny the connection.
Because she was brutally murdered by Charles Manson's group.
It's kind of not the Barbie vibe that you're looking for,
And you added no nipples. There have never been any nipples, right?
No, Barbie never had nipples. Well, I actually, or was it the Happy to Be Me doll that I got because it was a feminist approach to Barbie, and she had like fat thighs and a wider waist, and I think she had nipples, but she wasn't nearly as popular as Malibu Babs.
Okay.
And finally, let's talk about some celebrity news. Actor Jake Gyllenhaal is trending because of his hygiene habits. In an interview yesterday with Vanity Fair, the star of films like Nightcrawler and Brokeback Mountain admits that he's not into bathing every day. Quote, "More and more, I find bathing to be less necessary." He indicates that he does brush his teeth regularly, but finds that not bathing is helpful to his skin maintenance. This might not have made headlines in the past, but he's part of this growing number of Hollywood celebs who admit to dialing back on their shower time. Others include Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, and Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard.
Why would you do that? Because people know who you are. They see you, they get close to you, and you smell bad. And you never forget that as a fan. When you see that or smell that, it never leaves. Because I remember this one disc jockey in Chicago back in the day, and he was making an appearance, and I wanted to go meet him. And I go and I walk up, and he's got these corduroy pants on. Speaking of corduroy pants, and they look.
Are you sure he wasn't moonlighting?
He could have been the Bucks mascot. And I'll never forget this. The pants looked like they were under a car tire for about a week. They were so wrinkled, and that's the image. As soon as I saw it, it was like, what? Why are his pants so wrinkled? He's whatever.
And it's perfectly natural that we don't shower every day. Some people, it depends on your activity levels. But when you think of Jake Gyllenhaal and a star of that caliber, you want to have that image of him being just
it's different to not shower or bathe and stay home, and then being a celebrity and going out in public. That's different.
But it's good he brushes his teeth. I hope he flosses too, because that's just as important.
You remember people that smell good. You really do. I mean, if they have a very unique perfume or cologne, I mean, not overwhelming, but something very unique. Oh, that's...
I remember talking to one of your producers when you were doing one of the radio shows, and you interviewed Phoebe Cates. And this was right around the Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Phoebe Cates. And I asked him what she was like, and he said she smelled awesome.
You don't forget that.
So that was that whole thing. Yes, she's beautiful. A lot of women are beautiful, but like she had that whole package going, and obviously he remembered, or it made an impact.
Yeah, I'm sure he would have dismissed if she did not smell good because she was so attractive, but that added to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She smelled delicious. Anyway,
who is that country star married to the guy whose name was Muff or Muggs or famous country?
Oh, Shania Twain.
Yes.
Was that Shania Twain?
Yes. You triggered something.
Because weren't they the couple where like they were best friends with another couple, and then Mutt ended up having an affair with the friend's wife.
And you look at Shania Twain and go, how do you top that? But Mutt or Muff or whatever, apparently he thought he could. But here's what I'm going for.
She ends up hooking up with the husband.
I think so. Yeah, it was like a switcheroo.
They just did a swap. Yeah.
A disc jockey I know in Chicago went to introduce her on stage for this country concert that he was part of. And that's what he said. That's what he said when she first came up to him and introduced herself. The way she smelled was so beautiful. And it's one of those things. I mean, I know they're attractive and that's going to grab you, but okay. I think that's the note we leave this flight on. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening. Back on Monday. Here we go. We got some cannoli. Take the cannoli coming down the aisle. Look how beautiful that cannoli is. I bet it smells good too. What about the schnauzer, Leslie?
Well, based on that, you got to perfume the schnauzer.
Yes, on Fetch on All Fours. Hey, shocking. This was made in China. Okay.
No.
Yeah. Wuhan, virus to go, Wuhan. Yeah, there it is. Thanks. All right, have a great weekend. There's that spore, those googly eyes. And the GarrForce, 3 of the green, gears down, flaps are down. The GarrForce has landed.
If you like that, I got other stuff I think you're going to like. This is the GarrForce. Hope your day is wonderful. Thanks for listening.